I would love to introduce you to Andra Phillips, and she's from Bridge Builder Project, and they have partnered with us as service providers. So I am not going to say much more other than introduce you to her and hand over to her so that you can hear what this is all about. Andra, I'm very excited to hear about the Bridge Builder Project. Very excited to hear about what you do and how you can assist our schools. So thank you for your time, Andra, and thanks for being with us. Handing over to you.
Thank you, Morgan. And yeah, just thanks so much for listening to this today. All of you schools out there, principals, teachers, and whoever else has happened to click on this link today. So as Morgan said, my name is Andra Phillips. I'm from the Bridge Builder Project. And it is something that has been brewing in my heart for many years. I would say probably at least 10 years. And it's really come to fruition in the last 4 years, out of a dream of our engagement across cultures being different to what we see around us. So let me just kick off like that. So we've been in a democracy in South Africa for 30 years. And yet when we look at our school environments, and I'm talking especially in the downtimes in our school environments, if you think of the break times or when kids connect with one another in the corridors or who invites whom home to play, those old divisions tend to still be visible. And that is something that really was burning in my heart to intervene in, because it's something that was contrary to what I felt my own children deserved in their lives, and for me as an individual as well. In doing research into the area, I came to realize that this phenomenon of connecting with those who are the same as you is an international phenomenon. It's not specific to South Africa alone with our very specific past, but all over the world. You find children, as they start entering into the senior primary phase, begin to socially and relationally connect with those who are just like them. So whether that is in a cultural way, culturally, racially, in terms of sort of income backgrounds, whatever those areas of difference is, that is what tends to happen naturally, if I can put it like that, if there isn't some sort of intervention in it. So that's where this came in, my heart for seeing something different for my own children. Actually, that's how it started. And so a few years ago, I approached our school principal. It was just after COVID, to say, I have this dream on my heart. Will you give me the space to try something? And he amazingly gave me the opportunity, and I developed a curriculum called the Bridge Builder Project, which then subsequently was piloted and implemented in a variety of forms in a variety of schools over time. But it's basically with the underlying realization that unless we train and teach and skill our children to behave and relate differently to what they've grown up with, those old relationship dynamics will remain and just carry on year after year, cycle after cycle. And so this is really a curriculum that intends to build a school community. So it's got a community building heart. It is relational, and it is a skills-based approach. So it's a relational, skills-based approach to intervening in this world where difference is so accentuated. And so the heart of it is that we're wanting to train and teach our children how to make a connection with somebody who's different to you, and also to understand the value of it. So many of you will have read the many academic articles that are out about the key 21st century skills that are needed in the workplace these days by those children leaving school. And one of the ones that is always mentioned in the top 4 is this ability to connect, to collaborate across difference. So that is like a key life skill that's needed by our children as they enter into the big wide world after school. And so not only is this not only is the Bridge Builder project sort of a dream that we're wanting to see about a different society, at the very least, it is also just an equipping program and project for our children entering into the world beyond our schools. And so what we offer at the moment is 2 products for 2 different phases in our schools. So the 2 different phases that we have written curricula for is senior primary phase, so grades 4 to 7, and then junior high phase, grade 8 and 9. So those are the 2 different phases. And then within each phase, there's something called a short-term campaign and something called a long-term curriculum. And so the idea with the short-term campaign is that it's one term, it's a big blast through the life of your school. Every class covers more or less the same ground. So there's one lesson that runs across grades 4 to 7, for example, slightly changed because of the age differences, but more or less that in that one term there's a big blast of bridge building that can just release that message into the life of a school. And then the idea is that the long-term curriculum then follows up with a year-by-year, brick-by-brick approach to really shifting those relational dynamics into something, just more human and more integrated.
I love what I hear, and I'm going to ask a question, and I know it might be quite obvious, but is this curriculum biblically based and built on biblical principles?
So very much so at its heart, although not overtly in its content.
Yes.
So the heart of it is very much we're wanting to see what's reflected in heaven, where people of every background come together, but overtly not at all. So it can function completely within a non-Christian environment or within a Christian environment. And then just to add,
after you.
No, just to add on to those 2 products. So the Bridge Builder approach is very much intended as the teachers being based in the schools, teaching it or facilitating it. And so it's not me coming in to run the program. It's a school that buys the program or buys the curriculum, and then I spend time online with the teachers sort of working through how to facilitate it, because obviously you're wanting like a real heart change and heart connection to happen in the lives of the children. So it's not just like teaching maths or teaching bio. It's really trying to facilitate meaningful conversations in a loving way. So it's not aggressive. It's not, in a safe environment. So that's the heart of it.
And in your experience, because I take it that you rolled this out where your children were at school, would it slot? How does a school accommodate that, or how did that school accommodate it? Did they use their assembly times, or their chapel times, or their LO times, or their Bible ed times? How did it work at the school where you implemented it?
That's a very good question. Thank you. So it is designed for 30 to 45-minute lessons. So obviously the longer your lesson slot is, the more time there is for actual lovely discussions.
Yeah.
And the shorter your
Engagement.
time, engagement, exactly. So in the school that it was piloted in, we used the LO slot every week
Yes.
for those grades. It piloted from grade
Yeah.
4 right through to grade 9. But it's interesting because there's another school that implemented a version of it for their high school orientation week. And so they asked me
Okay.
to rewrite it into a week-long, mini
Yes.
sessions. So that was
In a
another way in
nutshell.
which, in a
Yeah.
nutshell. And then another school found, as many of us in a school environment find, that the school week ends up being so busy, and often things are squeezed out the way, especially when it comes
Yes.
to LO classes, which are not necessarily
Yeah.
examinable or whatever. And
Yes.
so what this school found is that they were implementing it in a term where lots of the kids were out in the time slot that they had
Mm.
set aside for sports matches. They had to leave
Oh,
early
yes.
or whatever the
Yes.
case might be. And so they ended up doing it as they did a bridge builder conference at the end of term.
Okay.
So I quite like that idea, because often
Yeah,
that
that
week,
dead time. Yeah.
that dead time, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the content is flexible. So the product includes lesson plans, it includes videos and slideshows and worksheets and all of that. But how it gets implemented really would be up to the teacher
Yes.
responsible, and what fits for your school environment. Yeah.
So if I go boots on the ground, step one, if a school is interested, or a principal, where would step one be? And then lead us into step two if you can as well.
Sure. So step one is just, well, you might want to find out a little bit more about us. So you're welcome to find us on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for the Bridge Builder Project. We also have a website, bridgebuilderproject.co.za. So you can familiarize yourself with some of the nuts and bolts of what I've been sharing today. And otherwise, just get hold of me. So my email is andra@bridgebuilderproject.co.za, and I'll leave other contact details with you. So that would be step one, is just to get hold of me. I can give you a
Reach
more
out.
detailed overview of what the lessons contain. And then step two would be for us to enter into, an invoicing stage or
An
whatever,
agreement. Yeah.
whatever the
Yeah.
actual concrete, yeah.
And the purchasing of the curriculum. And step three, probably training of your teachers.
Yes,
I love that idea that you train the teacher so that the teacher can reach the child, and that's where the
yes,
relationship lies. So,
yes.
let's say I have 5 teachers, would it be a joint training session, and how many training sessions do you propose?
So at the moment, my training of teachers up until now has been fairly flexible. So it has depended on who those teachers are that will be
Yes,
training it. So
yes,
in some of the cases, the teachers that I've worked with have already had this heart of
mm,
wanting to see bridges being built.
mm,
And so in terms of looking at some of those content areas, it's been very light.
mm,
Another content area that I look at in the course of the training part is the art of facilitation as opposed to teaching. So how
yes,
do I facilitate a conversation in a way that's
yes,
not threatening, in a way
yes,
that I don't feel threatened? And so it very much depends on who the individuals are. So my initial thing would be to set up a 2-hour online session with all the teachers training
in
it
that
at a
one
school,
school. Yes.
give an overview, and then plan from there how we go about it.
Mm.
As the Bridge Builder project grows, one of the intentions of the board is also to set up regular online connection points of the teachers training it,
Between
just
schools. Yeah.
between schools. So just to
Bridge,
have
bridge building
conversations.
again.
Yes, and also just to hear, gosh, I had a kid say this in my class. This is how I handled it. How did you handle it? So just that, because it can be sensitive
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
content. And some children say the most amazing things, some children say the most appalling things.
Yeah.
And then how do we handle that as the adults who
Yeah.
are facilitating this conversation? So
Yeah.
that's on the cards for the future, is that between
Yes.
schools chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, so something you might not know, Andra, from our side, we are rolling out what we call CSIP, the Christian School Improvement Platform. And it is something that we've made available to all our schools. And basically, they evaluate not how many fire extinguishers they have and if they have an exit drill, but more what are they offering and how is the vision and the mission of the school tangible in the classroom, in a conversation with a grade 2 child on the playground, in a conversation with a parent on the pavement outside the school. And how do you get that mission and vision right down to grassroots level, and that way actually influencing the community you live in? And I can see this slot in because what the schools do is they do a self-evaluation on 5 different standards, with each standard as 7 odd indicators, and they evaluate the health of their spiritual life at the school. And then they get a report that says, all right, here's a blind spot, here is a strategic plan, try and do this. And I can see the Bridge Builder project slotting into one of the tools that schools could use to address that specific indicator. So I just see how this bridge building is taking place at many different levels as well. So, I'm really, when I speak to my schools about CSIP, I'll definitely bring up your name and the Bridge Builder project as a great tool to facilitate that change, and how are we going to improve our offering, not just academics and buildings and mowing the lawn, but the hearts and the minds of those children we serve.
Because also, Morgan, just to add on there, another sort of deep part of the Bridge Builder project is obviously that we're wanting to build belonging for every
Yes.
child that is a part of our school community. And I mean, what you're saying now is really that we're wanting school communities where every child, no matter who they are,
Yes.
feels like they belong, and that
Yeah.
releases brain activity for
Yes.
learning. So it's so
Purpose.
intertwined. Yeah.
Purpose, identity, belonging. It's as if the one feeds off the other. So I
Yes,
love it.
yes,
I'm
yes.
going to end off by asking you if you have any testimonies, or one testimony of something where your heart just skipped a beat when you saw something happen from your work.
Well, I mean, I've had a school send me their worksheets that the kids have filled in, and just reading through some of those has been, yeah, just very heartwarming.
Yeah.
But the one story that comes to mind from my own piloting of it, where at the end of the term, I asked they were actually grade 9 kids, scholars,
Yes.
what was the most meaningful session or lesson for them. And there's a lesson that gets covered every year, short term or long term. We look at the topic of how do we handle being on multi-language campuses. So how do
Okay.
we handle that? Because it can so easily divide, and how do we
Yes.
handle that? So it is, again, doesn't come with clear
Yeah.
answers,
Yeah.
but it's a conversation. And the one girl said she enjoyed that conversation the most because just because it gave her the freedom to be able to talk about it.
Yes.
Not that there were
To
any
bring it
clear
into the light.
answers.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that to me has always been such a good reflection of what the Bridge Builder project is all about. It's not like a teaching program where we've got to do this. It's a space to have conversations about stuff that you often wish you could talk about, but you don't know how to. And so what came out of that particular lesson, it was in a school where there were lots of kids with different languages, and we spoke about just the relaxedness of being able to be at break and talk in your own language, and yet
Yes.
how we need to be
How to
mindful of
talk.
those who don't speak those languages. Yeah, so
Yes.
just, I mean, that's
That
a
is
small
lovely.
testimony, but
It's
it
not
was
that
really
small.
heartwarming.
It's not
Yeah,
that small because it is a real divider. Even
yes,
though it's not intentional, it divides. And just having a platform where it's a spotlight is put on the topic. And other than maths, that always has a solution, some things don't have a clear solution, but the solution lies in conversation and opening up and
yes,
acknowledging that this is a real thing, and not just ignoring it and shoving it under the carpet, but being able to say, hey, I would love to hear what you're saying now, or whatever outcomes there were in that week or in that lesson in the class. I can imagine that that awareness has brought people closer together rather than dividing
yes,
them. And our
yes,
Lord is a
yeah,
multiplier, not a divider.
yes.
Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for taking time and sharing your heart and from the heart. And I'm very excited about the Bridge Builder project. We will also be putting your email address on here and contact details and the website, but I'll just repeat the email address. It is Andra, ANDRA, at bridgebuilderproject.co.za. Then also have a look at our from the director's desk that went out on the 31st of October. There's a write-up on the Bridge Builder project and a link for you to click on. So look forward to building bridges with you all. Thank you once again, Andra.